What up? What up? What up? Special exclusive interview here with Texas State head men's basketball coach Terrence Johnson. T, what up, man?
What's going on, B? How you doing?
I'm well, man. Not quite as well as you. We had a championship in our family. We got a new baby.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
congrats,
yes,
man.
2 weeks ago. But we got a championship in your world, Sunbelt champions. So tell us a little bit about what that was like. I know you weren't there for the actual game, and then we had the ESPN go viral. Guys storming your car and the whole thing, which was really cool. But just tell us what this ride's been like winning the championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's been surreal. It's been an unbelievable ride. We it's been a seesaw of a year, and as well as a whirlwind at the same time. We've been through quite a bit. Dating back all the way to our final game last year. Walking off the floor thinking that we're going to be headed to New Orleans, thinking that Nigel Pearson is going to have a chance to finish his career out with a championship. That quickly changed with COVID, and then certainly it's been well documented what happened in June, and just for us to be able to pick up the pieces and to be here talking about, you know, just reading the bottom of the screen, saying Sunbelt champions, it's just unbelievable. So just, you never know the heights that God can take you to.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So Nigel Pearson, we can talk about him a little bit because you coached him on the grassroots circuit, also along with Jared Allen, who happens to be a pretty good player in the NBA.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Not bad at all. So you had a chance to coach those guys, and then Nigel from Beaumont. I was actually at Lamar at the time. We were recruiting him. Tremendous player, tremendous person. I believe the all-time leading scorer in Texas State history. Is that correct?
That is correct. He is.
So a guy you coached in grassroots, a guy you recruited there. Last year didn't get to finish it. It's got to be cool in some ways. I'm sure he's probably one of the people FaceTiming you like your guys were doing, just celebrating that moment. So talk a little bit about your relationship with the players there, how cool it was to have those guys FaceTiming you, storming the car, the whole nine. Because you went from assistant coach to head coach, which is a really hard transition to make. And a lot of times you have to change your relationship and how you are with them. But for them to still show that kind of love and that kind of celebration for you is really awesome. So talk a little bit about that if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where to start with Nigel. I've done a few of these, and I've only talked about Nigel. So, so I don't want to use up the whole time to talk about him. But I love him to death, man. I'm telling you, I don't know if there's a young man that I've been around that has been given less, and that's just Nigel. He if you give it to him, he'll give it back to you, and he'll tell you, I'm going to either do one or two things. I'll earn it or I'll take it from you, because he has just that mentality. And he has the highest level of belief in himself. He's mature, comes from a great family. His mother did a phenomenal job with him, I'm just happy that I was able to be a part of his journey along the game of basketball. And I think our bond has going above and beyond what anybody could have ever thought. I think one of my proudest moments is when he asked me to be the godfather to his daughter. So, I love Nigel to death. He's such an important figure in my life and a staple in this program. And he is what culture has been built upon here. As for these guys, man, just to be able to, recruit some of them and help develop them, it's been really, really good to transition from assistant to head coach. As you said, I probably did not know it was going to be as challenging. I'm still trying to tell them, hey, I'm still TJ, and they're looking at me like, nah, you different. You in that big office over there. You're not still TJ. So they certainly looked at me a little bit different early on, especially, the first time they're taken out of a game, and I'm the person that's not walking them to their seat. I used to be the guy that walked them to the seat and, pat them on the back and tell them all of these things. And now I'm just the guy that gives them a 5, and the other assistants have to do it now. So it was a bit of adjustment, to say the least, but, we did a really, really good job of building relationships and trying to strengthen them and create avenues for conversation, on and off the court. and our guys they've responded really, really well. So I'm happy for these guys.
Yeah. So then take us through that moment of the actual championship. What were you doing? Were you watching the game, screaming at the television, screaming at your phone or your iPad, and then the drive up to the school, those guys coming, hitting the car, and even just FaceTiming you afterwards? I mean, I thought that was a cool moment to see.
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, you got to watch the game. It's the toughest thing to be away from your team, you know. And I've been away from the team a couple of times. You know, my mom took sick 2 years ago. I had to leave the team for about 2 weeks, and that was tough. And but I wasn't the head coach then. And now this was different. You know, certainly I trust my staff. I mean, Benny Seltzer's been phenomenal. I've been knowing Benny for a long time. He coached two of my best friends, Hollis Price and Quantas White, those guys over there at Oklahoma. And now they're at University of Houston working extremely hard for Coach Sampson and doing the same things that they did at Oklahoma, just winning, you know, and bringing culture to the floor every day. So Benny has been, man, he's been unbelievable here. I don't know where we would be without him. And then certainly, you know, Robert Gust has been here almost about as long as I've been here. He does a great job with our guys, building great relationships and developing our forwards and our bigs. And then the young fella Dylan Johnson is learning every day, getting better at connecting and being a collegiate coach, understanding what it's all about. So had to have to go off to those guys for carrying the torch, keeping our guys locked in and focused, and you know, executing the game plan. But you know, at that moment in which we won a championship, you know, when we were playing, I was pacing up and down my apartment. It was struggling to deal with it, you know, but at the same time, just trying to figure out a way how to deal with acceptance and understand what you can and cannot control. So just had the highest belief in our guys that if we stay connected, we stay focused and locked in, that we'll give ourselves a chance to win this game. And, you know, after we won it, man, I don't know, you know, it kind of sent chills through my body. And I just, you're almost like Jimmy V, you know, to be honest with you, you're running around trying to find somebody to hug. Right. You know, everybody looking at what was Jimmy V doing, just running around. And that's what I was kind of doing in my head and in my emotions, you know, just running around. And I had nobody to do that with. So when I got the call, you know, I got on FaceTime with Benny. He's like, T, man, we did it. He was like, man, you did it. I was like, no, you did it. Right. So I said, they did it. So he was like, bro, we're not touching these nets without you. So I said, Benny, man, cut down the nets. I said, where's Larry? Tell Larry we're cutting down those nets. We got a game tomorrow. They got to find some new nets. Right. I said, because we cutting these down. They coming with us. So I said, cut down the nets. So then a point guard, Mason Harrell, got on the phone. Yep. And you know, certainly first thing he told me he loved me, and I told him I love him too. And he said, Coach, you know, I need you to cut down these nets with me. I said, well, take me up there. So you know, he grabs the phone and he takes me up the ladder and he cuts down the nets. And I was just full with emotion. So I just hopped in my car. By the time he gave the phone back to Benny, Benny was like, man, this is unreal, bro. Unreal. I said, man, I don't care what you got to do, Benny. I said, get those guys to come outside. I said, man, this has been the toughest day of COVID. I said, but man, moments like this make it all worth it. Right. I said, I'm gonna pull up. I don't, wherever you want me to be, that's where I'll pull up. And he said, well, give me a second. I'm gonna call you right back. Right. Yes, he got with Larry Tice, our AD, and you know, they told me pull up in the loading dock. So I just pulled up in the loading dock, knowing that I couldn't get out, you know, knowing that I didn't want to expose these guys to anything because, I mean, COVID is real. Right. And I was dealing with some real issues of it. And, you know, I think Dr. Tice told me he had one more surprise for him, but they needed to come outside to see this banner that this person had made for him. And they were like, a banner outside. So as they're walking through the door, I think you can hear one of them say, you know, T bet not be out here. We're going to go crazy. And they saw my car. And once they saw my car, they went crazy. They just went crazy. It just, man, it was the most pure and authentic reaction. Right. ever. I didn't know what to expect. They didn't know what to expect. I was losing my mind. I had a migraine for 2 days after it, but it was unreal, man. It was unreal. It was probably the best moment I've ever had related to sports at any moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're in March now, but that was one of those moments that you see in March Madness that just goes viral. And it did pretty much go viral to the point where ESPN picks it up. It's on that level. So what was that part like? The part where all this stuff is going viral on internet with these kids jumping on the car celebrating the championship. I'm sure your phone was blowing up. I'm sure people at the school had to be excited. I mean, there was a ton of visibility without even going to the tournament yet, because that is still the goal. But that was an NCAA tournament type moment.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not really tech savvy, so I'm not really the one to keep up with what's going viral. I don't even know what constitutes going viral, but I guess if ESPN tweets something, that means it's viral.
If ESPN tweets it, that means it's probably going viral.
Yeah, so I've had a few people kind of get on me and like, "Yo, you're going viral, bro. You need to do something with your social media. People are trying to follow you, so on and so forth." And I'm like, man, I barely know how to post anything, so we just gonna relax. And furthermore, I got a game tomorrow. It's not many times you win a championship and you got to play tomorrow. So we had a game that we needed to get prepared for. So I actually received a ton of calls. Some I didn't get to for another 48 hours. So I had to put my phone down and lock in on the game plan. I had to watch that game and get locked in on the game plan for Saturday. So that part I didn't really get a chance to enjoy as much as I'm sure the people and the Bobcat family around here did. But I was happy for our guys. Glad that they were able to have this moment. And then the next day in film, we talked about what we always talk about. Hey man, I'm not interested on how quickly you can retweet something. I want to know how many times you can repeat something. Can you win today? So that was that was what we were looking for. Can we win Saturday? And we were able to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talk about, Coach, you hit on a lot of stuff there, but the transition we talked about earlier from assistant to head coach, you have to be able to put in your own identity, and you were able to hire your own staff member. You had guys you were assistants with that are still now your assistants, but you had to probably figure out some kind of a theme and a way to make the program now Terrence Johnson led program and your culture to what you believe in winning. So what was that process like? Take us through that. And was there kind of a mission for the season? Is there a certain approach that you took? Because whatever it was, Coach, it worked, and you guys won a championship. And I remember, this is kind of a little bit of an off the record, but I remember people were getting on Texas State because you guys had a hard loss to an NAI early in the year. Yeah. And I remember calling you myself and leaving a message because I'm like, this is only going to catapult you to where you want to go. But I remember even myself defending you to people even online who were trying to say, oh, they need to go ahead and open the job now. They need to hire this guy. So I say all that to say you have had a steadiness and this is who you are, though. You've had a steadiness and a consistency that is very rare in a person who is leading in a position where it's so unknown, and I think Isaac Brown's done exactly the same on his end. He was recently rewarded. We know you'll be rewarded here soon. We'll talk about that. But what is it that allowed you in the beginning of the year to figure out, I'm going to lead this team this way. This is the way I'm going to do it. And then for those guys to buy in.
Well, I mean, just a concrete circle of friends, to be honest with you, kind of helped me along the way. Between the coaching staff at University of Houston, Baylor, VCU, University of Texas, just reaching out to those guys, reaching out to, Amir Abdul-Rahim, who's helped me down so long, Dennis Gates, I'm not name dropping, but I'm just telling you, like, I didn't do this all on my own, Coach Billups, formerly at Denver and Dwayne Broussard, all of those guys, helping me, Donnie Marsh, just helping me trying to build my philosophy and make it, turn it from an idea, because initially, it's just an idea. It looks really, really good on paper. And then when you have to make it practical, like how can I do that? And that's the part that I struggled with. I can remember picking up the phone and calling Mike White and say, "Hey, we got practice in a week. I might need a little bit of help on try to figure out, what's meaningful, what some things that I need to focus on." But the best part of it was a conversation I had with AB3 at Baylor, and and he just said, "Man, culture needs to be something that's in your everyday actions." He said every single thing you do related to preparation in practice needs to be related to your culture. He said, what's important to you? So we started talking things out, and then he just walked me through what he believed was the best way to implement this culture, and we kind of took off from then. Our culture is very simple. We're going to focus on connecting and teamwork. And from connecting and teamwork, we're going to focus on energy and effort. And then at the end of the day, it's going to come down to competing and being tough. And every single thing we do in practice every day is related to those three things. One of those three things, all of those three things, or two of those three things, but at least one of them, every single thing we do, from a layup line to a defensive drill, is going to be related to one of those three things.
Yeah, well said, Coach. Tell us about, man, just at what point did you know that this team had a chance to really do something this season, right? So you've recruited a lot of these guys in the offseason. They do this poll with Jeff Goodman and his company where they do this poll where you're voted one of the top 5 assistants in the conference. So you've done a good job already as an assistant, but when did you figure out as a team that this team had a chance to really do something special this year?
Yeah, I think it's well, can we go back just a little bit? I want to address something.
Yeah, please.
I think that certainly the loss to Our Lady of the Lake was something that you don't plan for.
Right.
But you know that it can happen.
Right.
Because as like anybody can and will get it, in the words of Galen Robinson. He would always say that about us. He was like, "Coach, anybody can and will get it." So
and those that don't know Galen Robinson, he's a starting point guard for 4 years at University of Houston, helped really change the culture there with Coach Sampson. Now is playing professionally in G League and right there on the border of the NBA. And he played also on that team with Jared Allen and Nigel Pearson, Texas Pro. So anyway, continue.
He ended up getting it that night. Those guys played outstanding. Credit them and their coaching staff. They came in here with no fear in sight and took it to us in every facet. And at the conclusion of that game, Benny pulled me on the side. He said to you, "I know you feel like shit right now. Excuse my language. I hope I can say that."
Oh, you're good. You're good.
You might have to bleep me out, but I won't say anything worse than that. But he said, "I know you feel like crap right now, but in some ways, this might be the best thing that have happened." He said, now you have their attention." He said, "You're going to get their attention now," and he's saying, and you're going to know who's for you and who isn't.
Yep.
And in so many words, it kind of brings me back to that JFK quote. I think it goes something like, what is it? Like victory has 1,000 fathers, and defeat is an orphan. So, it keeps me balanced. Like right now, hey man, I'm good. I'm happy for these guys.
Right.
This stuff not about me. I know people excited around here. 22 years, they should be.
Right.
But man, this was a pretty lonely place when we lost to Our Lady of the Lake.
Right.
So I know how it goes, man.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, as Pop would say, you gotta be over yourself. And trust me, I'm over myself.
Yep.
I got a phenomenal staff. They did a great job of keeping this thing afloat. But our guys remained humble and hungry and, figured out what's important. I'm proud of him for that.
Yeah, let's go back to that, Coach. So the Louisiana beginnings, the humble beginnings, New Orleans. Talk about what is it that in you that's helped you to get over yourself to that degree, because you've kind of always been like that, even as an assistant. When you coached Texas Pro and you had an NBA player and all these high level college guys, you kind of always had that humility and that is it's not about me approach, which is very rare in our industry. So for you to have that approach, it's you were prepared for this position. You know what I mean? God knew exactly what he was doing, but you were prepared to take over this program and win a championship. You didn't become a championship head coach the day you got named head coach. It happened before that. So talk about just your journey to becoming in the seat that you're in now from your humble beginnings.
Yeah, I mean, just I think it all starts with just kind of the way I was raised. To be honest with you, I'm a grandmother's baby. My grandmother, she had her handprint on me, from day one, and I think the most humble thing that she did is every day I would ask her, Big Mama, are we gonna go to the store? Big Mama, are we gonna go to church today? Big Mama, are we gonna, do this or do that? We're gonna call this person, we're gonna go walk in here. And she would always say, yeah, baby, if the Lord say the same. And if it when she said that, I didn't quite understand it, but she was always prepared. So her church clothes was laid out. She had our grocery list together. She had already called my aunt and told her we would come and see her. But she's telling me if the Lord say the same. So I'm thinking to myself, well, Grandma, if we got to wait on the Lord to say the same, then why you doing all of that in preparation?
Right.
So,
Right.
so saying all that to say this, my grandmother was such a humble person that she didn't even assume that she earned the right to see the next day. It wasn't even hers. She understood that it was just grace and mercy that allowed her to see the next day. And if you can be like that, then certainly, and you can be afforded all that God has for you. So I liken it to this, man. If I'm going to receive anything, I have to put myself in a position to do so. And if I bring the ego and the arrogance, then I'm just letting God know that I don't need it. So that's where it comes from. And I try to get our guys to understand that this is a no ego zone.
Right.
And where ego exists, humility can't be present. And you can't learn something that you feel like you already know. So stop acting like you know everything.
Right.
So be humble in it. So and that's just what it is, man. It's just how I am, and nothing not gonna change that.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
It just won't happen.
Right.
So it hadn't happened since you've been knowing me.
Nah.
That's been better than almost 10 plus years. It is not about to happen.
Right. Right. No, credit to you on that, man. It's awesome to see. And like I said, you prepared to be a championship coach way before you were in that seat. You were carrying yourself as a champion every day. Talk about this team. Again, you guys were picked fifth, so you weren't picked to be at the top of the league. A lot of really good teams in the Sun Belt, a lot of really good coaches. Speaking of, I think Bob Marlin just won the all-time winningest head coach in the conference this year. So ton of really good coaches, really good players. You guys were picked middle of the pack and fifth, and you won a championship. So tell us about this team and some of the players on this team and how you guys have kind of been able to make that part happen.
Yeah, it's a great conference, man. I think it's probably one of the more underrated conferences across the country regarding true mid-major, especially, you have an all-star lineup of coaches and you have some really, really good players, man, every year. So we know it's going to be the gauntlet every year. It's going to be tough. It's hard to count wins in this conference for sure. Anybody can win on any given night. Well, I just think that this team is, constructed a little bit different than our teams in the past years, especially last year when we had a guy averaging 19.8 points a game. What we were looking to do is establish some level of balance, and look to kind of get a three-headed monster, and then a unit that's going to sit down and guard, which is the staple of this program. Certainly, the previous coach, he did an unbelievable job of implementing his defensive philosophy, and if it's not broke, then don't fix it. Certainly it's something that I've been around for 5 years and learned. I think we did a really good job learning it and trying to hold on to the principles of it. And I just appreciate these guys being open to my leadership and wanting to continue, to try to lead the Sun Belt in scoring, defense, and percentage, and all of that stuff. So which we were able to do. But man, it's led by the little fellow, Mason Harrell out of Oklahoma. He's an unbelievable kid, unbelievable young man, I should say. Comes from a great family. Father's a coach. Mason's done a great job of leveling up, raising his game to the next level and leading us every day. He's our floor general. He's the toughest dude on the court, no matter who we playing, no matter where we playing at, every single night. So, and he's a very talented young man, can score at all three levels and can make any pass. So we wouldn't be anything without him and his leadership and his ability to put people in the right places. And then I think right now, you got to look at, Caleb Asbury out of Pflugerville, local product, who's coming to his own. He's played for some really good coaches, and Danny Casper, as well as Billy Clyde down there at Ranger. He's a talented young man. Just needed to continue to mature, and on and off the court. And this year has been probably the most impressive year he's had. Playing the game of basketball. He's a very talented young man, and you can see his level of buy-in is increasing with every practice and every game. And then I just think the X factor is probably going to be Isaiah Small. 6'7.5", 6'8" guard. I mean, forward that has guard-like abilities. Can pass it. Can make decisions. And is pretty good at finding his own. And the emergence of him have kind of put us at a different level, especially in conference play. So, that along with a host of guys, Shelby Adams and Alonzo Sule rounding our starting lineup has been phenomenal. And those guys have been consistent all through the year. And, certainly we lost Marlon Davis, but when he was healthy, man, he was certainly a difference maker.
Yeah, Marlon, another great Texas pro player. Got to give shout out to him. And I think Sule played for them as well, right?
Yeah, Sule played for Texas Pro as well. So,
yeah. Shout out to H-Town. Let's go.
Man, just stop it right there. Say shout out to Marlon Lowe.
Absolutely.
Let's just cut to the chase right there. So,
yeah, I was about to bring up Marlon Lowe. So
yeah, he's already called me this morning to check on me. Make sure I'm taking my ginger. Make sure I got my elderberry. You know how Lowe is, man. So I was on the phone with somebody. I was on a Zoom with my staff about 4 days ago.
Right.
And I had to say, man, hold on, Lowe calling me right here. And I got off the phone. I said, man, this dude's still coaching me. I said, but I'm going to listen.
I love it. Talk about Marlon Lowe real quick. And there's a lot of people. We'll do this two-part. There's a lot of people in the Texas community that have just been, not only on this network, whether it's a random interview with this person, that person, it may not even been a question asked. Oh, and by the way, TJ Johnson needs to be the head coach at Texas State. There's been such an outpour of respect and just advocates for you to get this job full time. But Marlon Lowe goes all the way back to, he told the great story on the podcast when he came on with us about you being in the gym, watching them play, not really wanting to coach, but he kept kind of staying in. You're like, all right, I'm going to do it. And then next thing you know, not only do you guys have an incredible run and winning at a high level, but then next thing you know, you're at Texas State. I'm sure he was behind that. And then he's always pushing to get really good players to come there to help. So I'm just curious, talk about what is it like to receive that outpour of support from the state of Texas, from all different places, from other college coaches to grassroots to high school. And then, Marlon Lowe specifically, what would you say about that relationship that's helped to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about Texas in the state of Texas, certainly has embraced me with open arms. Man, I was just a little guy trying to figure out his way, just leaving Louisiana, all that I knew, after Hurricane Katrina, trying to find a way to kind of, get my feet back on the ground, trying to figure out if home would ever be home again, and how soon I can get back. But, it's the relationships that I built in Houston and in the state of Texas when I moved to Texas in 2006, that really just I guess made this be a place where I want to be for a long time. So great people, down home people, and they just embraced me with open arms, especially the basketball community, certainly starting with Coach Tim Martin. I think you have to start there when it comes down to someone who embraced me early on and opened up their arms and, and showed me the way and helped me become a better person and a better coach, So I'm certainly in debt to the state of Texas and to the city of Houston and surrounding areas. It's been amazing. I do consider myself being fortunate enough to have two homes, Texas and Louisiana, both my homes. And I'm just fortunate enough to be around good people in both states. Marlon, man, I don't know. I think, I usually start here, man. He's one of the smartest people I know. I'm just going to start there. Brave dude, he's unapologetically himself. And that I can appreciate in him, and him giving me the opportunity to be a part of Texas Pro definitely changed my life, helped shape me as a coach, exposed me to a world that I didn't know. And basically I didn't know how serious, that this could be. Certainly I had already been a college coach before, with Sanford University, and things that I did with HP Elite helped that. But this was on a different level. I mean, this is Texas Pro, and for Marlon to reach out to me and to say that he's been watching me and, and thinks that I would do a good job if given the opportunity to be a part of his baby and his program, which is Texas Pro. Because anybody who knows Marlon, they know how he feels about Texas Pro. Initially, it's not something that I wanted to do. I wanted to kind of almost be a freelancer, just go to as many games as I can go to, find as many people as I can find that can play, and just just almost I didn't want to kind of be labeled this or that, and I think Coach Brooks at University of Houston did a really good job of pulling me on the side and just talking to me about the benefits and talking to me about, the circle that I could build and be around consistently. So that, that kind of nudged me to be a part of Texas Pro, and following them around. I watched them very closely and try to look and see, man, is there a place for me? Is this a culture that I want to be a part of? And can I help any of these young men be better? And I found, I found that in doing that, it gave me a different perspective of who these guys were and how they were as a unit. So it was unbelievable. I think it was probably one of the best decisions that I've ever made.
For sure. And elite success, winners win, as Marlon would say. The winners are still winning there in San Marcos. Tell people that don't know anything about Texas State as a place, and then I'll ask secondly, without getting into the job specifically, which I know everyone wants to ask, separate from that, what does the AD say to you as the interim head coach when you win a championship? Like, is that phone call different now? Is it, again, we know that there's great things coming. I don't have any question about that, especially after Isaac Brown got what he got. They've set the bar now. You're next. However, I'm just curious, what is the AD like? How does he respond to you now? How does he talk to you now? Is that different? And then what is Texas State like in general? What would you want people to know about Texas State that don't know about Texas State?
Well, first of all, man, shout out to IB. He's a friend of mine. When he got the interim tag, I called him and reached out to him, and he was like, "I was just about to call you." So anybody who know IB, you got that little country twang. So so we talked for a good little while. I just told him, I think it happened for me, a couple of months before him. So I just told him what to expect. Certainly, Coach Casper is well known in his area, as well as Greg Marshall is across the country. So, just kind of give him a little bit of insight as to what I had to go through, love IB, appreciate everything that he's been through, and to get to what he certainly deserves it makes it all worth it, man. So I'm so happy and I'm proud of him, man. Just wish him and his team all the best for the remainder of the season and for the duration. So just wanted to make sure I said that.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as Texas State, man, this is probably the best kept secret in the state of Texas, to be honest with you. If anybody hadn't been here, you might want to swing through, if you're passing through San Antonio or Austin, to give it a look. It's a great university, tier 1 institution, led by a great leader in Dr. Denise Trout. She's done an amazing job. And, it's a beautiful campus here in the Hill Country with a river flowing through it. So we're really, we have this saying, we call this sunny San Mo. So the weather is usually pretty good around these parts, and the people are extremely friendly. And it has a little bit of a spillover from Austin, so it's very socially accepting. And once this COVID starts to slack up a little bit, I'm sure there'll be tubing down the river, which is usually the highlight of everything that goes on in this town. But it's a great place. It's a big school in a small town. So it's kind of, you kind of get the best of both worlds with just this small area, especially with, Austin and San Antonio being so close. It's about 25, 30 miles away from Austin and about 45 miles away from San Antonio. So, you can fly into any airport, and, it's, some pretty good food spots around here. So, and, if you just want to lay out on a patch of grass, you can certainly do that around here, and, it was pretty socially accepting place. So it's fun times here. And now, you'll be able to see a Sun Belt Conference champion trophy, if you walk through this building for the first time in 22 years. So certainly excited about that.
And then lastly, what are those conversations like? What did the AD say to you when you won? You said 22 years, been a long time, broken countless records over there, and more to come. There's NCAA tournaments on the verge. I know there's a competitive league, but that's the goal. So what are those conversations like with the AD? What does he say to you when you win a championship as the interim head coach?
Well, for the last couple of days, he's just been checking on me and making sure I'm okay. He's been pretty much checking my temperature from afar, wanting to know that I'm okay and just checking my health. So I know that we're playing to meet here pretty soon, but they're pretty excited around this place, and I'm happy for them. I think that we've come close a lot of times, and we Danny would always say that this place is thirsty for a winner. Certainly, we got probably like a 7-to-1 ratio female to male at times. Maybe 5-to-1 ratio female to male. So the female sports here are really, really good. So in baseball, cracked the code. They won a championship their last time out. And then I know football is excited about what Coach Jake Spavital is doing. He's bringing an excited brand of football here. So they were just waiting on football and basketball to kind of catch up, and, thankful that we had an opportunity to get it done this year, and hopefully we're just getting started.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Any funny stories, coach, that's happened behind the scenes, man? You got to tell us. We got to see your point guard FaceTiming you and celebrating. We got to see some of that. We've seen the locker room celebrations after wins. What's a funny story that's happened behind the scenes with this team, man? Because usually with championship teams, there's some good moments that happen that are pretty funny.
Well, I don't know how funny this is, because when the joke's on you, it's only funny. It's only so funny. But man, I had this grand old plan, right?
Right,
Man, Caleb Asbury is named Player of the Week. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna make a big deal out of this. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
No, look, this is how we gonna set it up. You guys get the water bottles. All you guys have your water bottles. Act like we're in a circle. I'm gonna say something about Caleb and just the hard work he's put in, and then I'm gonna hug him. And when I hug him, I'm gonna say, congratulations, Player of the Week. And y'all just go crazy. Y'all just go crazy. So it's like, yeah, coach, that's what we're going to do. Yeah, coach, that's what we're going to do. Well, we're on the floor. And it just didn't dawn on me that, that level of water on the floor might not be safe, especially for somebody as clumsy as me. So, I mean, it's actually on Twitter. I think they put it on there a couple of months ago. So I give this grand old speech and I say, man, Caleb, just continue to work, man. I said, come here, man. Keep on putting in the work. So I dap him off and I hug him, and I said, Player of the Week. And man, Caleb, they started spraying him with water, and he breaks out running. And I'm trying to hold on to him. But certainly he's in the weight room way more than me. I'm trying to hold on to him. I go sliding. I mean, my feet are cocked in the air. And man, I hit the ground so hard. So the guys are running behind him, spraying him with water. And I pop up. I hit the ground hard and I pop right back up. And all the guys were like, Coach, I just saw your feet in the air, man. You good? You good? I said, man, look. I said, all I want you to know is if you check the film, I was way outside of the charge circle. So, I just wanted to let them know that if I can take one for the team, I need them to do the same. But no, I was so happy for Caleb. Being named Sunbelt Player of the Week isn't easy to do. It shows the work ethic and the consistency that he's put in. And I was just happy for our guys. We always talk about being able to celebrate somebody else's success.
Right.
Man, I'm telling you, if you got a team that can do that, you got a team.
Right.
And if you got people on a team that can't do that, I don't know how much longer they should be a part of your team.
Right. Absolutely.
And that was very important for us to be able to celebrate somebody else's success.
For sure. You had a lot of them within that moment and within his team, different successes. I'm curious, before we let you go, and last couple questions. So there was an interview you did where you went coast to coast with one of the guys from Texas State, and he does the interview, and he talks about your academic background in college. Mm-hmm. So tell the people who don't know, who didn't see that interview, what is your academic major, and how does that play into what you're doing now, and how does that help you? Because you talked a little bit about it there. I don't want to share too much, but I'll let you take that one and run with it.
Yeah, I don't know how this happened, but I managed to graduate from Southern University, my beloved university. I am a Jaguar through and through, with a degree in microbiology. I thought I wanted to be a dentist, so we didn't have a pre-dental program at Southern, but we had I went into biological sciences my first 2 years. And then I said, you know what, I think I want to focus on microbiology. It seems way more interesting to me. I enjoy, creating cultures and looking at them under the microscope, and then trying to figure out ways how to prove things throughout the course of my studies. And when I say prove, I guess when I talk about basketball, it's such a fluid game. It's a transition sport. It's a lot of things that are situational based, and oftentimes we are not as flexible as what we what we try to get our players to be as coaches. So for me, the way I kind of look at things is that in microbiology, we would always, I guess my first class in microbiology, I started to understand how something became a scientific law. And it was because it wasn't because you can prove it right. So what I try not to do is just think that I have all of the answers. If my guys have an idea or thought about something we can do different in the middle of a game, we're going to listen, and we're probably going to do it, because I trust them, and they're there every day. They're on the floor, and I believe that they earn the right to give a suggestion. So I started saying a while back that a lot like science, if you can't prove it wrong, then it is a scientific law. So if I can't prove it wrong, like defense impacts winning. If find me a team that defends at the level in which we try to, that has a losing record. You can't prove that, wrong. So if you apply those things in life, first of all, it puts things in perspective, and it simplifies your approach.
Yeah, I'm curious. So, if you study a lot of these coaches now, I'll use Nick Nurse as an example. He talked a lot about when they won a championship, similar to what you just talked about, having a collaborative approach with your players and letting them have some ownership, right? Letting them have a say so. Now, they don't necessarily get to dictate everything, but including them in that. This is a new era of coaching, right? And there's a new the old way of doing things, the old school way, although old school values still have a place, the old school way of doing it, do it because I said to do it and do it or else, is not really the way anymore. So the way that yourself, I'll use you an example, Mike Boynton, I'll use an example, Dennis Gates, some guys that have had elite success, they're finding a way to still be connected to the players, still be a player's coach, but also still have those old school values of toughness, accountability, things that are championship culture, right? So if you can give us maybe an example of how you've used this collaborative way of allowing guys to have a say, because they are on the floor. They are the ones that can have a feel. Is there a story or an example you can kind of give us insight into that happened this season? Because I would imagine that also has a momentum that gains that says, Coach really trusts us. Coach really rocks with us. And it makes them trust you more. And now it builds this bond even stronger. Well, next thing you know, you're cutting down the nets or cutting down the nets through FaceTime.
Yeah. Well, I would say that I guess the most apparent is Monday practices. As long as I've been here, Monday practices have been dreadful. And as long as I've been an educator, I taught almost 10 years in 7 in the greater Houston area in Sci-Fair, and I can't remember any of my I'm not going to say any, but not very many of my students over the years enjoyed Mondays. So certainly with us playing back-to-backs, that was new on Friday, Saturday games and conference play. So we needed to do something different on Mondays. So certainly off on Sunday. So you definitely don't want 2 off days, but you also don't want to go balls to the wall. So, just talking with the guys, trying to figure out what is it that they were missing, what they felt like they needed, being a first-year coach, and certainly, the elephant in the room, it seems like every game is, will help determine whether or not you get to coach the next one. That's just the nature of this business. But on Mondays, we change our practices. Mondays became about them. This is your day. We're gonna put you guys in 2 small groups, and we're gonna work on individual skill development. At the very conclusion of that 10 minutes, I'm going to get with you and we're going to do 5-on-0. It's no contact Monday. Get better, work on your skill How much better can you get? So really brief 25-minute workout and then 10 minutes worth of 5-on-0. And that's because they felt like they needed to spend more time working on their game so that they can get better. And when they think that they're getting better, they probably are. So I thought that was important, and I thought that we did that, and we didn't waver on that. The important thing is, can you do that after you lose?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Can you do that after you lose? And that's where the ego comes in at.
Right.
So now it's, you lose after you've promised them that you're going to do that for them.
Right.
And you got to stay true to that.
Right. Yeah, I think, there's so many times where coaches can give players, call it throwing a bone, call it whatever it may be, let them win this one so that I can win later on. We can win later on. And I think so many times, like you said, sometimes that ego comes in for a coach to say, well, we lost. We're throwing it out the window. We're doing it this way. We're doing it but if you can stay consistent in that, man, the trust that you build with your players, the appreciation that they have, now they will really run through a wall for you because they know you have their back differently. So credit to you and your staff for recognizing that, because again, this generation is even more different than when we played. It's a different time. So I guess the last question I would really have is, how have you been able to, we talked about it a little bit early, but you alluded to it. Every game that you win or lose may feel like, well, I'm getting a job or I'm not getting a job. And I've coached as an assistant in those interim situations, and they're hard. They're hard no matter what, because no matter what is going on, the reality is this moment today really matters, because tomorrow I may not be in the same seat. So to be able to win a championship in that seat, what do you think the secret to that was? Because there's going to be other coaches that are interim coaches. There's going to be other people that are going to be in a one-year situation where they don't know what's coming tomorrow. And obviously you did a great job of zeroing on today and getting your guys to do that. But how were you able to do that, Coach? Because that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I think part of I guess I can answer that in three different answers. A 3-part answer, I should say. The first is, man, I've never had anything, so I don't know what it is to kind of lose something, and I have 2 degrees, so that's something that I have that I know I've worked for, and I'll find a job doing something. I'll find a way to provide for myself. My father and my mother, they raised a man, so I'm going to find a way. And I had a job before I was a college basketball coach, and I had an identity before I was a college basketball coach. I think sometimes guys, they coach this, they do this job out of fear that if they lose it, they don't know what else they'll do. That's not the case with me. I'll be fine. So I've put in my work in other disciplines to assure myself of that. And then the second part is I've had help. I got certain people around me. One I can say that has helped me with it is Shaka. Shaka's done a great job of kind of guiding my thought process and helping me with one word in particular, and that word is acceptance. And just being able to do a better job of accepting, and dealing and understanding what comes along with acceptance. So I really appreciate him and just him mentoring me and his tutelage, and helping me see things from a different lens. And then the last part I would say that's helped me throughout this whole thing is, man, I'm a YouTube fanatic, and man, I absolutely love Inky Johnson. I mean, I'm not really one of those guys that's kind of starstruck, but man, if I meet Inky, man, he gonna have to hug me. I'm gonna be honest with you, like he don't know, he doesn't know what he does for me.
Right.
Controlling the controllables, man.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that and just, I mean, I could listen to him all day. So just that three piece right there is what's helped me to focus, lock in, stay in my element, be myself. Man, don't get caught up in all the things that come along with this job, man. Don't be that guy.
Right.
It's not, listen, it's not like that, man. I'm telling you, man, victory has 1,000 fathers, man. Defeat is an orphan. I'm not about to get wrapped up in this like that.
Right.
And acceptance, just being able to accept what it is. This is the fate. This is it. You can fight it. You can do whatever you want, but you can't change it.
Right.
Then, going into it, understanding that you just got to control the controllables.
Yep.
You can do that. You can manage your expectations. You lock in and focus on what's important. And then knowing that you've done that, man, you can walk away saying, hey, man, you've done all that you can do. I think I got interviewed the other day and they asked me about this job. I said, man, I'm like IB. We both came to the same conclusion. After a while, you stop worrying about what they're going to do. You got zero control over that. You do what you're hired to do at the time, and you let the chips fall where they may. I mean, and all. I came here to do a job, and hopefully, they felt like I've done a good enough job, so I can keep on doing it.
Right. How much is your faith, TJ, along with those? You talked about a lot. You mentioned Shaka. You mentioned Dennis Gates. You mentioned Alvin Brooks III. You mentioned Alvin Brooks Sr.
It's a lot of them, man. It takes a village. Especially for me, like my daddy said, well, my peanut head. I need a lot of them to get up in here, man. So
you've mentioned a lot of those people, which is tremendous. And then we've talked about the community outpour and support. How much has your faith played into this whole thing too, to be able to be in a position where you can control the controllables and then trust for the rest?
Well, it's all of those people have missed my call. I've missed their call one time or another, but not faith. Call gets answered every time, every single time, man. So that's certainly the most consistent part of it. I got an 82-year-old praying grandmother that reminds me of it. And it's just a good feeling to know that that there's a call that's going to always be answered. So, and humbly speaking, I wouldn't be anywhere without that. And I am blessed that God has chosen me to be a vessel, and that He's using me to be able to carry His message and really be a living witness of what He can do for someone and how quickly He can do it. So it's been the most consistent part of my life.
Yeah, it's that part of you has always shined through too. I can say that as a guy who's recruited players that you had, to a guy who was an assistant coach recruited against you more or less, to a guy who's been your biggest fan when you guys won a big game. Whatever it may be, but you haven't changed on that either. The faith part, I think, has kept you rooted, and why so many people are so glad to root for you. And you've been shining God's light, man. We appreciate what you do. Let you have any last words before we go, but got a few comments. I got a bunch of them, so I can't show you them all. But you got people showing support. Texas State got an easy decision to make, so make it. TJ's the man. We got Rossi Karen on here showing love.
That's awesome, man.
And that's called leadership. A leader himself takes one to know one. And then you got Herb Ladie showing some love. Congratulations. So I could do this for the whole time. We got a bunch of them, but I wanted to at least show you a few of those.
Those are three legendary people right there. Wenzel, and we beat down the door to try to get that joke over here, but that's a topic for another day right there. Right. So
I think that might have been one of the recruiting battles we did go toe to toe.
Yeah, that wasn't much of a battle. That was a landslide for you right there. you kind of spanked us with that one, but nah, man, he's a great kid, great family. We enjoyed having him on campus and getting to know him. But certainly Rossi, man, Man, that dude, that's so solid, man. He got a great family, man, great leader of men, and just a all around well put together dude, man. I got a lot of respect for Rossi and everything that he's done,
Yep.
basketball university, and just how he carries himself. And man, he one of those dudes that genuinely call and check on me.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I hope to spend more time with him, in the years to come. But man, we got a solid relationship, and I think the world of him for sure. And big brother Ladie, you know what I'm saying? He always a solid figure in Houston, man. You know him when he walked through the door right there. So he's a good dude, man, for sure.
So for Louisiana all the way to Texas grassroots, did a stop at Sanford. Now you're at Texas State, won a championship, Sun Belt champions. I know that probably still sounds crazy.
Yeah.
ESPN viral. Any last words you have that you want to end with, that you want to share with anybody or say or anything before we go?
Man, B, I would just, if I could just say anything, I'm gonna shine a light on you, man. There's not many people that went through the things that you've went through, in your last couple of stops, and they have always been able to smile through it all. And the fact that you have this platform where you've been selfless and making this about us and giving us an opportunity to to kind of let the world know who we are. And you kind of, man, that you deserve all of the credit, man, to be honest with you, for what you're doing for us and just for young guys coming up in this business. So man, I'm just thankful for you and your platform. Wishing you the best, man, with your family. And I think that, man, you're operating. I say this a little bit, man. You've built a tent on a corner of passion and purpose, man.
Yep.
Yeah. So you've built a tent on a corner of passion and purpose, and certainly, man, I'm very, very appreciative for the opportunity, man. Real talk. You always text me, no matter what's going on, bro. You always, staying locked in with me, even before now. I mean, shoot. I remember when you gave me my first Lamar T-shirt. You were to the car, said, "T, I got something for you. I got to give you this. Got to give you this." And a T-shirt. I remember that.
Right.
I mean, just things like that, man. You just got a real kind heart, pure-hearted guy, man. And you could be doing this for you.
Yeah.
Instead, you doing this for us, man. So I appreciate you, man. Just want to show you some love and let you know that you're making a difference in our lives and in the basketball community. So God bless you, man. Wish you all the best.
Yeah, super appreciate that, man. Super appreciate you taking the time. Championship head coach. Got a lot of people probably trying to get to you, and it means a lot to us. It means a lot to me. I feel like I've known you from the beginning and making some of those calls when I'm an assistant and you're in grassroots, and I'm like, this is the guy to hire. I told several people that. So for all those that didn't listen to me, you see now why I was saying it. But and again, even that call, R. Lake, part of me is like, nah, he don't want to hear from you. But I was like, I don't care if you want to hear from me or not. I'm calling him, leaving him a message. I think this is going to be a turning point. And not because I say so, because I knew your character. So I'm just so excited for you, man. Excited to celebrate not only a conference championship this time, the one that's coming in about a week, and then also the great news is coming from your AD when it comes, man. But you make all of us proud. Keep up the great work, man, and looking forward to doing it again after you get another championship.
Awesome, brother. That's the plan, man. That's the plan. All love, man. I appreciate you, B.
Okay, thanks so much, man.
Thank you, man.